rack up the total score count, which gives you more money and such. And now we actually are halfway through the game. Now I'm going to go ahead right now and increase my armor, which gives me 1 extra piece of life, which you'll see when the level gets going here, that I now have 4 pieces of health, as we now have a, skyscraper style level. And we deal at the beginning with these hang gliding enemies. They don't really make sense. You can't... The plane has realistic physics, or more realistic physics, I must say, that you go up and down in a diagonal direction, yet somehow people on hang gliders can go straight up and down with not actually taking off and nothing. So, interesting with that type of enemy. Now these enemies we've seen before, we saw them actually in the baseball stadium level. They fire out little tiny planes, and they can be a little bit of an annoyance because it's hard to take them out, plus you gotta dodge the little planes that they do shoot out. Now this level actually has a pretty tough boss in it at the end of it, as we deal with more of the hang gliding enemies, and then we have these trucks at the bottom that shoot the little missiles at you with the balloons attached to them. They're pretty easy to dodge just because they do, like the ghost in the previous level, they do blow up and disappear on their own as long as you can dodge them for a few seconds. Now, right before I started playing the game, I used to watch the cartoon, not as much as I used to watch some of the other Disney cartoons as a child, but I didn't even know that it was actually supposed to be Launchpad in another spin-off show from DuckTales to be the main character of this one, as well as he was also, of course, spun off and was in Darkwing Duck. That's also why the name is, Talespin, to go along with, DuckTales, which I did find definitely interesting. Now, in this part of the level, we have to deal with a gauntlet of all these spread shot shooting different things that look like they came off the ship from Mario 3. And then when we get to the end here, we have the boss, and he has a weak spot. As you can see, it'll be like the actual window of the enemy. But he moves back and forth and shoots like these jumping, bouncing balls at us, as well as he has the wrecking ball that he shoots down at us on us as well. It's slowly trying to dodge and get in when you can. Avoid the wrecking ball as much as possible, and then as all the little bouncing energy balls go past, move in, try to get a few hits, and then quickly pull out. If you have a few hits, like I did going into the boss fight, you can fire a lot more shots at him at the beginning, and when you get down to only a few hits left, then you can start avoiding or trying to dodge a little bit more. Now our 6th level takes place in a cave, and we have different minecart style enemies, these minecart dogs that throw bones at us. And similar to other caves, we have some tight areas that we'll have to deal with throughout the level, but if you've gotten through all the other previous levels up to this point, there's really nothing too challenging or new in this level. Now we have another one of those scrolling areas where we gotta go up, and we have to deal with these snakes along the way here that stick out of the walls. Now you can shoot them and they will retract. There's only really one time that you have to shoot them because they're easy, and that's right there. Flip upside down to take out one of them, and then continue heading up, grabbing some of the extra items and money along the path so that we can build up, so we can buy that final upgrade that I need to buy, which is the upgraded Rabbit Shot, which allows me to just keep firing massive amounts of bullets, which I definitely suggest picking up at least by the end of the level, or by the end of the game, sorry. The final level, the final actual boss, it's a little bit useful to have it, but it's not a necessity, so that's why I usually pick up that upgrade last. Then again, I think overall, you don't need to pick up any of the accessories to really even be able to beat the game. I think you can obviously beat it with just the standard chip, but it makes it obviously a lot easier to buy the upgrades as you go on. But I guess if you want that little bit of extra challenge, it's okay just to go ahead and not buy any of the upgrades. Now we actually are almost at the top here, and almost at the end of the stage, as we have more of the scrolling upwards levels, but this boss is actually at the top of this area. Now for this boss, it actually works a little bit unique, and you have to have mastered, or at least gotten decent, at that whole upwards and downwards slope shot, that diagonal shot, because that's what you're going to be doing to defeat this boss. As you can see, he pops out of the window, and I can move up and down real quick. I can get in my hits before he closes the window and goes away and has to wait a few seconds before I can shoot again. Also, if you stand where I am, or sit where I am going up and down, none of the little rocks that he actually shoots out of the top of his machine will actually hit you. They'll all just go around you, because they all go in the same basic pattern every time. After a few times of him opening and closing, getting some shots in, he's done, and another level is complete. we are now down to only 2 stages left in the game. And actually, the boss of the next level, which is a jungle-based level, is actually another one of the easier bosses to deal with in the game. So here we go with level number 7, and of course this is your basic jungle, probably some reused sprites from some of the other Capcom games used for the background and stuff in this level. What I find funny about this level is just like the natives, the actual enemies of this level, are these alligators, and they either catapult themselves at you, or they try to run and throw spears up at you, which that makes sense, but just the fact of the catapulting alligators I think is a funny overall enemy. And then you have tons of these spinning totems everywhere that shoot the fireballs as they spin round and round. Pretty easy though to dodge them. Like, it's probably one of the like I said, this level actually is pretty easy compared to some of the other levels we've already done because the enemies in it are actually really easy, especially the totems, which are supposed to be our like main enemy, as well as those catapulting alligators in this level. However, when we do get up here, and it'll start scrolling to the right, we do have a little bit tougher of an enemy. We have these spear-throwing enemies that can be a little bit of a pain, but when they throw it at you, they're going to throw it at you directly at the same level that you're at facing them, when they make eye contact, basically, with you. And so if you just go down, like, hit the down button, like, just even slightly, the spears will go right over your head. Once we make it past that sky area, we have another little, like, the inside of the temple area, with more of the spinning totems going very slowly and shooting very slowly, as we make our way to the bottom and enter more of the jungle in a second. Another one of the totems to take out. Now what you saw over there was the bonus level. Each of the stages has a bonus level that you can fire at, and it'll open up a door, it'll take you to the bonus level where you can collect extra money and such, and you actually play as Baloo's sidekick in it. Now here is the boss of this level, and he's pretty easy. You have the spear-throwing alligators at the bottom, but his weak spot, the big glowing crystal in the middle, is really easy to hit, and his fireballs are extremely easy to dodge. So I think he's overall much easier than even the boss from level 5, that big ship with the wrecking ball and all. Even though he takes place later on, he ends up being an easier boss. Now, we have one last level to go, and right before it, I'm going to go ahead and buy the final upgrade for the ship. The last 2 things there, the plane icon is the extra life, as well as the chart is the continue. Now, I have rapid shot now, and I can just keep firing the fire button, and it'll just keep firing shots out. And this level takes place in the mountains. It's actually a overall pretty short level for being the final level of the game. What you do is you reach a side of the mountain, you'll scroll up a little bit, you're going to have these skiers that are going to come at you at random times, and you have the planes that you have to deal with as well. As we scroll over, you'll see the skier enemies, and if you're too low to the ground near them, they will try to catapult themselves off the mountain and try to take you out with their last-ditch effort. And the rock-dropping enemies, that the random plane flyers, that they're really easy to dodge. So it ends up being, for the final stage of a scrolling shooter, pretty tame overall in difficulty. More of the rock-dropping enemies. But they probably did that because the final boss definitely is a pretty big challenge. He moves pretty fast, as we actually are at the final boss now. He flies around in this circular pattern, shooting all these spread shots, and you have these homing shots as well. Every time you hit him, do as much damage to him as you possibly can while trying to dodge, but it's really just a crapshoot of trying to dodge as many bullets. Pay more attention to dodging the bullets than actually trying to do damage to him. Thankfully, there's no time limit or anything. Now, after a whole bunch of shots he's taken care of, and now we have the actual final boss. It's this big giant ship, which we have to take out these little propellers on it first, and it'll slowly scroll as you take them all out, and then when you get to the end, you have like the final engine thing to hit, as these other shots, these other little planes come at you, as well as the missiles get dropped from above. With the rapid shot that we just bought from the previous, at the end of that level, is relatively easy, as we now see Shere Khan, and then we have a little bit of a cutscene between Baloo and Kit, his sidekick, which is who you play as in the bonus levels. And then we see Baloo and Kit fly off, and then the end screen will slowly rise from the clouds. And that's it, no big ending or anything, nothing too special, but that's basically what you get with all the Disney Capcom games. So with that, that's going to wrap up another edition of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.